What's going on there, guys? We back with another one, and we got NBA legend, Hall of Famer Reggie Miller speaking on LeBron James and Dillon Brooks. He spoke about Harden, Embiid, Claxton, all those ejections and technical fouls, and he also spoke to Dame Lillard and told him he was proud of him and gave him some advice. Now, to touch on the LeBron thing first, he's saying what a lot of us is saying. Dillon Brooks is trying to get in LeBron's head and force him to become this one-on-one aggressive scoring guy. They're trying to turn LeBron into go Kobe and Mike, and that's not his game. He can take over games at different times, but he doesn't come out like them, just put you straight in the tool bag and go get 60 on you. Not in the way that they do it. Not saying he can't, but those guys come out and they head hunting from the beginning of the first quarter to the end of the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? Whereas LeBron, he'll pick his spots, and if he's on fire, he'll start to play more like them, but he'll fill it out a little more first. Whereas those guys already know where they want to get, what they want to do. And he also spoke about Dame Lillard's future. Check it out.
I do not think LeBron is going to hit rage mode, because I think hopefully he is smarter than that. Because what Dillon Brooks is trying to do is bait LeBron into breaking protocol and game plan. If LeBron goes out there and scores 40, that will hurt the Lakers. Where LeBron is great at is scoring 28 to 35 and having 10 assists and 8 or 9 rebounds, and he's feeding Anthony Davis, who they have no answer for. If he takes it and makes this a macho, I'm going to come after you, Dillon Brooks, that will hurt the Lakers. Stick with the game plan, King. Don't fall for the bait. It's smart by Dillon Brooks, actually. I like it. I like the trash talking. It's a smart move, but don't fall for LeBron. You've been around the block. And I think Wednesday, we may do one of those Lakers-Memphis games, which would be kind of nice. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. I spoke with Dame last night. He was at the Brooklyn game, and I told him that I was proud of him, because you've got people hating, you've got supporters all wishing and hoping that he leaves Portland, and I told him to follow his gut. If they can surround him with a competitive squad that can compete with the Denvers, the Golden States, the Lakers, Clippers, Phoenix, stay. But if they're going to be in a rebuilding mode, and at his age, it might be time to look elsewhere. But follow his heart. I don't know. Was that a sign, him being in Brooklyn last night?
Now we're going to check out what Reggie had to say about Draymond, Embiid, Claxton, Harden, and the physical play, and how he wouldn't have lasted in today's game, because, it's nothing like the 90s.
Let's recap, first of all, Game 3 last night. Brooklyn Sixers. Questions about last night. Let me clarify some things last night. One huge clarification, because I always read the comments post-game on what you guys are saying. And no, I don't think the league is soft. The reason why Nick Claxton was ejected from the game is because that was his second technical. He wasn't thrown out for taunting Joel Embiid. He got a technical for that, but remember, he already had the technical from before for stepping over Joel Embiid in that little scuffle the first 2 minutes of the game. So you guys were jumping down my throat saying, come on, Reg, you shouldn't be thrown out for that. You're correct. He shouldn't be thrown out for taunting Joel Embiid. He was thrown out because that was his second technical. Did I clear that up for you guys? That's why he was ejected, because he had 2 technicals. But man, I really thought Joel Embiid was going to get tossed. I heard my cohorts in the studios, Charles and Shaq, kind of agree with that. I'm very surprised. That's all I'm going to say. I am very surprised. But I will also say this. Nick Claxton, you've got to play the game, my friend. You see how Royce O'Neal went down after that shot from James Harden? You got to play the role. If you'd have went down holding your junk, trust me, they would have sent Joel Embiid. But you got up like it was nothing, trying to be all bravado. Do you see how Sabonis was rolling around on the ground when Draymond Green stepped on him? Play the game. You got to play the game, right? Joel Embiid would have been gone for 46 minutes. Your life would have been easier. Play the game. All right. Let me see what questions y'all got. Yes, play it up like soccer. Play it up like soccer. Exactly. You know they're going to go to the replay, right? So if you're down there holding your balls, okay, that plays into it. Optics. All about optics. How is staring at tech? Because of all the physical play that was going on in this series, the officials don't want something to escalate, which it has risen to that effect. Harden got thrown out. You saw what happened in the first 2 minutes of the game between Embiid and Claxton. So you don't want a malice at the palace, do you? So that's why staring is a technical, because they don't want it to lead to anything. Makes sense? I didn't think James Harden should have been ejected. I thought that was a flagrant one. I did think it was a flagrant one. I thought he was clearing space. I do not think he was intentionally trying to hit Royce O'Neal in the balls. I thought it was just a flagrant one. But again, if that's a flagrant 2 ejection, then Embiid should have been a flagrant 2 rejection. To me, I think that was the officials doing a makeup call. Just my opinion. I could not imagine these rules in the 90s. I wouldn't have been nearly as successful if I would have played in today's game. I just wouldn't have. I don't know.
There you got Reggie Miller lending his expert opinion on several topics. And yes, LeBron, don't fall into Dillon Brooks' game. We already talked about that on my previous video. Now, James Harden, I don't think what he's doing is intentional, because we've watched James Harden score a lot of points doing that same move. He did it all the time in Houston. Sometimes when people think he had crossed somebody to the floor or something, he actually had given them an elbow in the stomach, and they went down. And sometimes maybe they were selling the call. Sometimes they were really in pain. So I don't think his was intentional at all in the way where it was a malicious play. It's something that they've allowed him to do for years. So now they're trying to change it. And he's probably genuinely confused on why he was thrown out the game. Embiid and Claxton. I said this when I saw it. Claxton did not sell that call well enough to get Embiid ejected. Had he laid on the floor, Reggie's right. Embiid would have been out the game early. You would have had 40-something minutes without dealing with Embiid and possibly have this series tied up. I mean, not tied up, but 2-1, and have a fighter's chance. Now y'all don't have no chance. That's why he's going to be out next game. they feel confident they could win the next game, if not close it out in 5 in Philadelphia. So Claxton needs to learn how to sell these calls. If he's going to play that game as agitator, you can't get knocked down and then just get back up to show you the toughest. No, you got to sell that. Get that potential MVP out the game. And he also talked about how Sabonis sold his. You have to do that if you want those calls to stick and there to be ramifications for that player. And I found it funny too. I'll say this. Reggie said, if these were the rules, he wouldn't have lasted in today's game. And it's an interesting take because you'll hear people say that these players wouldn't last in the 90s, but also this physicality would work against some of the 90s players. The lack of physicality would work against some of the 90s players. Some of the things they used to get away with, they probably couldn't play the game in a way where you can't get away with those things. You have to be able to push out. You remember how Reggie shoved Jordan to go shoot the 3 and to take it to 7 games versus Chicago? Y'all remember that play where he hit that game winner in the playoffs? These guys thrive with that physicality. So if you take that away, then that takes away an element of what they bring to the table too. So it was funny to see Reggie acknowledge that, because I ain't want to say I only, but oftentimes you'll see the argument made for one way. And trust me, I'm pro 80s, 90s basketball. That's my favorite era of basketball. But it is interesting to hear someone that played in that era say, hey, I couldn't play today, because there's some things you have to navigate around with your emotions. You can't just go out there and fight when you get mad. You got to hold that stuff back, and that's tougher than people think it is too. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think in the comments though. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.